We've now got active military people right in the heart of government. If this had taken place 30 years ago, we would have had panic amongst the political establishment, because they would have been shouting and screaming, there's a military coup underway. And what have we got here? We've now got the elements of some form of coup, where this has been brought right into the power base at the heart of government, and there's not a whisper from MPs.
As head of the National Security Council, as head of the Cabinet Office, he's also head of the Home Civil Service. And so he's in control of everything that we've got on screen at the moment. On the left-hand side, therefore, in control of all the security services, GCHQ, MI5, MI6, and now the new Joint Biosecurity Centre. Of course, through the Cabinet Office, in control of the Cabinet Office's Rapid Response Unit, which is the Cabinet Office's attempt to deal with so-called disinformation and misinformation, and also 77th Brigade, which is working with the Cabinet Office to do that. Previously we had made the point that he's also effectively in control of the Foreign Office's counter-disinformation and media development programme through Andy Price, and that was linked to the Integrity Initiative, if you remember that. Let's bring this up to date then, because of course Tobias Ellwood, as head of DEFCON, is supposed to hold Mark Sedwill to account for his activities, but Tobias Ellwood, as we say, is also working for 77th Brigade. So there's a bit of a roundabout going on there. Not quite sure how that works, but we should also just remind everybody, of course, that Chris Bell, who is in charge of the 77th Brigade, he is the head man, is linked to Integrity Initiative. He was on the Integrity Initiative lists. Another 77th Brigade person, Diane Allen, also linked to Integrity Initiative. So Diane Allen, former Royal Signals and currently Intelligence Corps Reserve. She's a Lieutenant Colonel. Interestingly enough, she's a Lieutenant Colonel. Tobias Ellwood is a Lieutenant Colonel. We're going to meet another Lieutenant Colonel in just a second. But Brigadier Chris Bell, he's the commander of 77 Brigade. His predecessor, Alistair Aiken, also appears on the list of Integrity Initiative personnel. So clearly, very close links between 77 Brigade and the Integrity Initiative. But let's meet the third member of 77 Brigade that we want to talk about here. And that is another Lieutenant Colonel. So Tobias Ellwood, a Lieutenant Colonel, Diane Allen, a Lieutenant Colonel, Rupert Burridge. He's an interesting character.
Screen. Here he is, Mr. Burridge, Lieutenant Colonel. And why do I think he's a Lieutenant Colonel? I'll explain that in a minute. But he's a man of mysterious professional pedigree. We've got him here as 77 Brigade Army officer. We've got him here as champion of women in the armed forces, speaking at the Warsaw Security Forum. And if you start looking at what this man has been doing, David, he is all over the sorts of organisations we've been warning we're helping to build the European Defence Union. He is right amongst all that stuff. And you just say, what is this man doing? But let's bring this in, because you don't have to get too far into his professional history to see that he was conventions manager at the London School of Economics on women, peace and security.
How does that work?
How does that work, Mike? Well, I'll show you how it works. Is he really a Lieutenant Colonel? Well, here's his LinkedIn page, and we discover that he hasn't yet been in the army for 3 years. Oh. So June 2017, we haven't quite got there. So this man has not been an army officer for 3 years, and yet he's a Lieutenant Colonel.
Has he gone straight in as a Lieutenant Colonel?
Either he's gone straight in, and my opinion is Lieutenant Colonel's about the highest rank you can give somebody without the fact they're going to make an idiot of themselves the moment they're asked a professional question to do with the military and the army. So you can just about get away with it as a Lieutenant Colonel. You wouldn't if you were much higher, and that's why so many of those guys that you've highlighted are Lieutenant Colonels. But here he is saying he's only been in for 3 years. So he's been parachuted out of the London School of Economics into this army unit to spy with his colleagues, presumably on the British public. And if you dare get near him, you're going to get threatened by the military police. This is the utter breakdown of democracy. But we got more here because people can check this for himself. Here it is, Dr. Rupert Burridge, SO1 Human Security at British Army. And if you have a look, what is he? He's a professional academic, University of Oxford, University of Cambridge, London School of Economics. So he appears to be a professional academic. He writes on military security, women and, quote, global peace. Not sure who he's working with to achieve global peace, but now he gets elevated to a lieutenant colonel. Jump back in time with us to the 22nd of April when we'd had information about 77 Brigade. And let's remind ourselves what we were being told, that it was set up with much internal Army, MOD and Cabinet fanfare as the Army Information Warfare Unit against external threats such as Russia, but also UK internal security threats. And the person said we were mega puffed up as the cream. So we can imagine this. People selected, come and join our new unit. You are going to be the creme of the creme. Highly structured, secretive operations with rooms within rooms on top of the basic military need to know. Regular Army personnel and reservists increasingly sidelined as organisations expanded via the Cabinet Office and links with outside agencies. This is the really dangerous stuff. Google, Twitter, Facebook and other unknowns working with 77 Brigade, and an influx of what was called IT geeks, unknown professional background and provenance, an adoption of informal, unmilitary operational conduct. So the person said that essentially they created a gang of people, a gang. And it went on. The regular army personnel were largely barred from the inner sanctum, except for the top few. Surveillance of public, private, social media sites and comment was expanded into ever-increasing areas of 77 Brigade interest. We need information on this person or that group. No information is given to the person in 77 Brigade. They're just told to get on with it, get spying. A breakdown of the professionalism. This is repeated several times. Laddish, geeky way. It's fun to spy on people. It's a bit of a laugh. We get a power kick from it. This is very dangerous. Increasing sense that under the fun layer, the organisation was sinister and becoming threatening to people. Now, when you see that statement and we think about Lieutenant Colonel Burridge, you dare question him, well, actually, you're offering to give his business cards back and you get threatened by the military police. And any questioning of 77 Brigade role and ethics is described as a no-no. So we asked who regulates the spying activity of 77 Brigade, and I think you've just shown, Mike, that nobody regulates it because there is no regulation at all.
There's a conflict of interest there for
There's
sure.
a conflict of interest. So let's put this gentleman back on screen. Now, something very interesting is there in the Daily Mail article, which probably a lot of people missed, but the story was spun to some extent by the Daily Mail. So this is one of the first paragraphs. Formed in 2015, 77 Brigade is based at Denison Barracks in Berkshire. It specialises in, quote, psychological warfare, including using Twitter and Facebook to challenge false claims.
Is that what he meant by fixing COVID?
Well, we'll ask that question at the end of the segment, Mike, so don't forget that one. General Sir Nick Carter, the Chief of the General Staff, last month revealed that 77 Brigade was being used to combat disinformation about the spread of the virus. The unit is understood to have teamed up with the security services to thwart Chinese and Russian online propaganda. So Daily Mail helping get back into the government line that anybody challenging what the government says about COVID-19 has got to be working for the Russians and the Chinese. And it's done here again. The Mail on Sunday revealed in December 2018 how 77 Brigade has been targeted by Russian state journalists. So basically the message that the Daily Mail is spinning is that the only people questioning UK COVID-19 policy are Russian and Chinese assets. And I think this was done in a calculated way by the Daily Mail. Now, before we bring David back in and just ask him what he thinks about this, this was part of the original statement in the article. Lieutenant Colonel Rupert Burridge, a commander in 77th Brigade, which is leading efforts to counter COVID-19 disinformation. This is nothing about the Russians and the Chinese. This is about anybody who is daring to challenge the government policy. David, we've got more on this, and I think you'll be staggered at what's to come, but this is immensely dangerous that we now have a significant brigade in the British Army turned on the British people to spy on them in order to support the government policy, the same government that is helping to run 77 Brigade in the first place. This is taking over what's left of democracy in UK. We don't know who these people are. We don't know who appointed them. We don't know what they're doing. As you said, we don't know the budgets. And they are now deciding who can and who cannot criticise the British government, not on military or security policy, but on what happens to our health in relation to a winter virus. Something very dangerous is going on here.
It is very dangerous, because where we used to have separation of offices before, it seems that all that's gone. The oversight's gone. The MPs are not doing their job, as we've seen over and over again. They're silent on this issue, or blind, or they're just, they go into the House of Commons library and they get more blurb and they don't bother looking at it because the blurb's no good to start with. I mean, if you had to sort of take a snapshot and say, well, actually, is there more to this man? Is there another hat? That's my question. But I've got to say, from a sort of Mr. Putin or a Xi Jinping perspective, I just imagine they're just laughing.
Let's show 77 Brigade as it really sits in the British Army. We have to come to the British Army's 6th Division for hybrid warfare. This is the largest of the British Army's 3 divisions, so we can't actually put troops in the field, but we can create this huge spying organisation. We got the 1st Signal Brigade, we got 77 Brigade, we got the 1st Intelligence, we've got Surveillance and Reconnaissance Brigade, we've got the 7th Air Defence Brigade, we've got HQ 11th Signal and West Midlands Brigade, and we've got the Specialised Infantry Group. And here's some comment from a Lieutenant General Jones, who said the 6th Division focuses on cyber electronic warfare, intelligence, information operations and unconventional warfare through niche capabilities such as the specialised infantry battalions. So if you question the British government on the lies that it's pumped out over COVID-19 deaths, are you going to get a visit by the specialist infantry battalion? Well, we just don't know. But it goes on. The British Army describes 77th Brigade as an agent of change. Well, they've certainly done that, because we can't speak out now as a civilian in UK, a member of the public, in case we get a visit from the military police, using targeted information activity and outreach to contribute to the success of military objectives in support of commanders, and as a fundamental part of the Army's integrated action model. It currently comprises 5 groups: Information Activity Group, Task Group, Outreach Group, Support Group and Staff Corps. This is a massive octopus at the heart of British society, immensely dangerous. And now we bring in mysterious men like Rupert Burridge from London School of Economics to help run this. And if you dare challenge what this man is doing, you're going to get a visit from the military police. So I just noticed that when he was back in the London School of Economics, he's working in a department alongside this lady. Now, I'm not saying this lady's done anything wrong. I'm just interested in her political interests. So you see that she's a research officer in the Centre for Women, Peace and Security. So we can presume that she was sat alongside Rupert Burridge, because he's conventions manager for the Centre for Women, Peace and Security. But if you have a look at the sort of things she's tweeting out, she's talking about militarised thinking and why now is the time to challenge the current system of power and patriarchy to revive the women, peace and security agenda and set a, quote, post-pandemic framework based on well-being, not political gain. Could it be that that's what Lieutenant Colonel Burridge believes in? And we just add that it doesn't take you long to find that what this lady is talking about is linked through to this of one of many organisations, the Coe School of Global Affairs. And it says that their graduates understand the interconnected nature of world challenges with their focus on human dignity, their toolkit of strategic, analytic and relational skills and their portfolio of global experiences. They become the connective tissue among ideas, people and disciplines in government, NGOs and the private sector. So could it be that we've got these people working at the heart of British government to change our society and we're simply not being told? David, just a couple of words because we've got more stuff to cover. This is outrageous.
It is outrageous because in essence what you're describing is a Soviet East German model of operating. And where we thought in Britain we got a functioning liberal democracy, you know, this tells us that we've got severe problems that need dealing with. So this isn't fundamentally policy of the people. I don't believe anybody's voted for this or had it put to them in a manifesto. So it's not policy of the people via their MPs or of Parliament. So it's being drop shipped in from elsewhere. But we've got to bear one fundamental in mind now with this, and you've covered it many, many times on the column, and that's the government's fusion policy, which is literally to fuse the British police and the British military and the security services into one single point organisation. So a paramilitary security service. Then that's got to be where everybody's got to go. Alarm bells, everyone. This thing is coming towards us rapid during this COVID period. You need to get on your phone, get your Twitter out, get your pens out, and get onto your MP in a group, or if you can, or individually, and get this put across to your MP that you don't want it and it needs stopping. Now that's prescriptive. That's an instruction to your MP. Not an ask. This is tell your MP, I don't want this.
And David, will add to that, of course, what these very ignorant and arrogant MPs don't understand is that the revolution always eats its young. So if they think they're going to live a privileged life clear of this dictatorship when it finally installs itself, they're very much mistaken.
Okay, we've got to move on. If you like what the UK column does and you would like to support us, then please head over to ukcolumn.org/community. There are options to help us out there.